Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast that's got all the hosts together in one room. It's Guys of a Certain Age. Robbie Koblitz in studio alongside
Art Shirley
and Jay Reed.
We're all here together. Feels like it should be a national holiday, or at least a local holiday.
It's Flag Day Saturday.
That explains the flags in front of my building. I wasn't sure what was coming. I thought, man, they're really getting ready for 4th of July here.
So is it Coldwell Banker here that puts out flags for 4th of July? So they here in Starkville, they put
here, but yeah, it's usually a realtor that does it.
Why is that?
I guess to get their
get
names
people like
out.
us to talk about it. I guess.
Well, you can come replace that flag with a for sale sign if you'd like to.
That's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
So all right,
Subliminal marketing.
Subliminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yep.
All right. Let's get to Geeks of the Week because we got stuff to cover. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
How did I know that was going to happen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we want to mention obituaries yet?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have lost a couple of musical geniuses, genii this week. Sly Stone of Sly and the Family Stone passed away earlier this week. Just a great force of music in the 70s, and just an exciting person to watch. And he'd been kind of out of the public eye for a long time, but he passed away earlier. And then Brian Wilson, who is just an icon of music, of course, the leader and chief songwriter of the Beach Boys, and wrote so many things. I think Pet Sounds is considered one of the greatest albums of all time. It certainly inspired a lot of things, including Sgt. Pepper's.
The Beatles wanted to be the Beach Boys with, when Pet Sounds came out, was the thing I always read, that they were so blown away by
Paul especially heard Pet Sounds and said, we've got to do that. And there was a friendly competition between the two bands, as there was between the Beatles and the Stones. But and of course Mike Love says Paul owes him money for Back in the USSR because it's basically a Beach Boys song. But that was the idea. They were trying to write a parody of a Beach Boys song. But yeah, Pet Sounds was just phenomenal. And it was, as Sgt. Pepper was, it was made in the studio. It was something that could not be reproduced live at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Brian Wilson's genius was. I mean, if you've seen the Wrecking Crew video, you realize that the Beach Boys didn't always play on their albums and stuff, but Brian got into the studio and really made a lot of experimental things happen with it. God Only Knows is from that album. You thought I was going to say something else?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying that's such an incredible
tune. And that's like Paul McCartney's favorite song, and Sting said it was his favorite song. He played it in memory of Brian Wilson last night at a concert.
Yeah, so, what an incredible song.
Yeah, and what an incredible talent. Just one of those kind of people that changed music.
Yeah.
So.
And Sly Stone was great in Rocky. I really thought he was great in all the Rocky movies.
When I saw Sly Stone,
Sly Stallone. Okay.
I thought it was Sylvester Stallone who died. When I first saw the headline, I'm like, what?
Yeah, and obviously I know the difference, but didn't they call Stallone Sly sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have been confused in the past, but I knew there was Sly and the Family Stone. That was his group, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he was pretty incredible. Speaking of the Wrecking Crew, I've gone down this rabbit hole of playing Wichita Line.
We talked about this. When
did we talk about it on the
lunch?
show?
We had talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it at lunch, and how that was the Wrecking Crew who backed
Glenn Campbell.
Yeah, and Glenn Campbell was part of the Wrecking Crew,
right?
And the Wrecking Crew kind of bequeathed Toto because they were like that. The Toto band, we talked about this in the Yacht Rock documentary. The band Toto was Wrecking Crew, basically version 2.0. There were a bunch of these LA
that's
players.
Right. A lot of the studio musicians.
Yeah. So it's just kind of crazy how it all comes full circle.
And Carol Kay just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's the bass player that just...
Not to be confused with Carol Kane.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but...
You didn't confuse it.
Princess Bride, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. looks like I may be shooting a project at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals.
Oh, how cool.
In a few weeks.
That's not the Sideman thing coming back, is it?
No, no.
Okay.
This is, I guess I can,
You don't have to divulge it. You could save it. Tease it.
Yeah,
Come back and listen and find out more about it.
It's not the trailer, it's the teaser trailer.
What?
It's
not the trailer,
It's a teaser trailer.
Or is it the trailer teaser?
Well, yeah.
What?
The trail of teasers?
Yeah.
Or the teasers of trails?
We don't need to go down this path very far.
Anyway,
It could be a really
back to
cool
Alabama.
project. It could be a really, really, really cool project. And I think it would be fun to talk about on the podcast. So I just don't know how secret or not it is.
Okay.
So,
Well, we'll allow you to keep it a secret for the moment.
well, thank you. Well, what do you got for a geek there, J-Bo?
Well, I saw an
Or,
announcement.
excuse me, Baba.
Baba. Yeah,
Yeah.
Baba.
Just an announcement, no details yet, but the Ryan Coogler, who directed and I guess mostly wrote the Black Panther movies, as they're looking at Black Panther 3, apparently they've confirmed Denzel Washington to play a role.
Really?
Yeah, and it's hard. I watched the little blur. He was on a podcast or something, or a YouTube show with a couple of guys, and it was a little bit hard to follow, but I'm pretty sure this is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this is AI or faking Jay out, which
Yeah.
has happened a time or
J.I.
two.
Or repressed memories coming back.
J.I.
That's right.
J.I.
So anyway, but apparently Denzel really thought a lot of the Black Panther movies,
Yeah.
and they're just finally been able to. They know each other, and then just finally be able to get it together and get him in one. So wrote a role specifically for him.
Cool.
So, and that is the extent of my knowledge. But I think that'd be great. I mean, I love Denzel Washington. I can see I wasn't overwhelmed with the Black Panther 2, but
No.
but I would certainly go to Black Panther 3 just for him.
Okay.
And that is my geek of the week.
It's your geek and you're sticking to it.
That's my
And we have this big box of 45s. So, last week I griped about Doctor Who pretty extensively. Of course, Jay hasn't heard that episode yet. Was that it would be like the 2 weeks before. So the BBC has announced they're going to do an animated Doctor Who show on their children's
Oh my God.
platform called CBBS. CBBS. CBEEBISE. CBBS.
okay.
Don't know. It's like their, I guess their version.
Cartoon?
It's going to be their version of PBS Kids, but they're going to
Okay.
do an animated Doctor Who. Who knows? See what I did there? They're looking for a production company to partner with. So this is outside the Disney Plus deal, and which has not been renewed or canceled. And one of the things I also found out, I didn't realize, is with Doctor Who, with Should Have Got Was 2 seasons, they shot season 1 and season 2 back to back. So they had all of season 2 along with the original ending for the season 2 finale in the can, and then got what basically said, I need to know or I'm out because I have a career. I can't wait around on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
According to, published reports. And that's why they ended up, kind of reshooting and redoing. So, and along those lines, this happened as you were in the vehicle, Art. Variety is reporting that Paramount has announced that Strange New Worlds will conclude after the end of season 5.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you were going to say that this season's going to be it.
no. So season 3 is about to premiere in a few weeks
Yeah.
as we record. It's going to actually premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Oh, okay.
So, but there will be 2 more seasons after
Yeah.
this. So, along the lines of what Discovery did with 5 seasons and whatnot.
I think that's good. I mean, I think it's probably good to have a set time they can do it. Of course, the rumors are they going to, we talked about this some too.
Man.
Are they going to do a new version of the original series?
cherry pick some episodes from the original series.
I
and
still think
remake.
you mentioned that. I can't remember if that was at lunch or the show.
I think that was lunch, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a great idea.
We should just start recording our lunches.
We should.
So you're talking about they're going to take scripts from the original.
That's what Robbie's suggestion was. We wondered if they were going to end Strange New Worlds, which would finish the continuing missions of Captain Pike
Right.
and crew, and then you would go into the original series again. But since they're they're 8 or 10 seasons episodes long. You would pick some just kind of really important episodes from the original series to redo.
Okay.
So
Like fun.
it could be fun. So
I think it could be really good.
That's $1 million idea. Apparently,
You've already got a Spock. You've already got Nurse Chapel. You've already got Uhura. You've got Scotty. You've got Kirk.
Who are you missing?
McCoy,
Chekhov?
Bones. You don't have Bones, or you don't have Chekhov. Sulu.
Yeah. You could bring Urban in to do.
Yeah, God, he was the best.
Yeah.
Really did a great job.
She took everything but my bones, Jim.
Yeah.
So, in the file of everything old is new again, and is new again is old again, Discovery, HBO has announced, Warner Brothers and Discovery announced that they're splitting back up.
Oh my gosh.
So, if we recall, it was Warner Brothers, where it was home at HBO, Cinemax, all that. They bought Discovery, made a new company. Well, just like Family Dollar and Dollar Tree are splitting again. There are going to be 2 new companies. I mean, it's going to be 2 separate companies, Warner Brothers and Discovery, sometime by mid-2026. So not only has Max become HBO Max, it's now Warner Brothers and Discovery as opposed to one unified company.
Wow.
So
They don't know what's going on.
how much
does
money?
that affect us? Really?
We were
Well-
hoping to be bought out by one of the 2.
That's not happening anymore.
Now they don't have the money to pool together to actually afford us. So
Yeah, that's right. The write down for buying us is not nearly big enough.
That's right.
What it probably means, you're going to lose Discovery programming on the HBO Max app.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So again, what does that mean for us?
Exactly. Yeah. So
well, it may. I'm going to be curious if it takes away the live component, because HBO Max has had some live sporting events and news events. Are they going to take all that to Discovery and Discovery have its own app again? I don't know. I don't know that anybody really knows out there. So, but I don't know. I don't know.
I probably won't lose any sleep over that one.
Have you guys seen the latest Mission Impossible yet?
No, we're going to see it Saturday.
Have you? Who
Or
directed?
the one before.
McCorrell? Is that who
Yes.
directed?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So apparently, downtime.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So in downtime of Mission Impossible, McCorrell, is it Chris McCorry? McCorry.
Uh-huh.
What's his name? First name?
I don't know.
We'll just call him MC. So McCorry and Cruz would talk about the Les Grossman character from Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Cruise's. Did
Yeah.
you remember, Jay? So they're talking about doing a Les Grossman movie.
Wow.
How hilarious would that be?
That'd be something.
And I had to go back and rewatch Tropic Thunder.
Did you really? Okay. I haven't watched
Boy,
it in a while.
it is so un-PC,
Oh,
but it is
yeah.
so funny.
It's so funny.
I'm just a dude playing a dude, trying to be a dude. Oh my goodness. What a great, and I forgot it was directed by Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's got the meta things going on.
Yeah. It's
So,
really, it's funny.
yeah. But anyway, so there may be a Les Grossman movie in the future. Warner Brothers, HBO, Discovery are spinning off. Paramount has said season 5 is the end of Strange New Worlds. And
now it's
Doctor Who.
time.
Yeah.
So I thought you were teasing- I
I'm
thought
giving this
you-
all for Jay so he can write the notes. So he's
I
got
got it down.
But
I thought you were pitching it to Diary Announcer.
and now it's time for
Jay's Regrettable Segment. Yes, Jay's Regrettable Segment today brought to you by Jenny's Box of Retro 45. Yes, it's a blast from the past featuring some of your favorite stacks of wax hits, including For Your Love by Ed Townsend, Give Myself a Party by Don Gibson, and Rocky Road Blues by Ronnie Self. Yes, Jenny's Box of Retro 45, proud sponsor of today's Jay's Regrettable Segment.
that was unbelievable.
I think we can just stop there. That's
We're done.
pretty good.
We're done.
Pretty good.
That was great.
Yeah, so we actually do have a box of my mother's 45s here that we're browsing through to see if I can.
I hate to say, I'm not sure which is the A side of these.
Yeah, right. Well, there's some Elvis ones in there, so there are some good ones in there.
There you go. All
I
right.
haven't heard of any of those either, but
I'm going to pull one out here.
okay. So we're back in the book. We're almost through with this book. If we did this, if we got together, all three of us, more regularly, we'd finish this off.
Looks like we're out of time. We better go to.
Yeah, probably so.
Jerry Lee Lewis, by the way.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
Sun Records.
Yeah, there's some Sun Records in there. So, Morlock 2001. Anyone heard of Morlock 2001?
Morlock is the creatures from the Time Machine, right?
Yeah, from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine,
Yeah.
but also was a kind of anti-hero
Marvel?
mutant. Yeah, Marvel.
Okay. Yeah, I do kind of. Is he a Marvel character?
He is a Atlas Comics character.
Oh, okay.
So, whatever that is. Can't say this. Michael Fleischer and Al Milgrom were the creators. It debuted in Morlock 2001, #1, but that was in 1975.
Yeah.
So this one is kind of maybe one of the oddest ones. The origin of this character. There was a guy who it kind of reminds me of your job. You'll understand more in a minute. Art.
You're a mutant, aren't you?
Now, the overall organization that you work for. So you have this
Schmersh.
You have this guy who is doing agricultural experiments that were not allowed back in whatever.
In
the
for the record,
dystopian
ours
future.
are allowed.
Yeah, right. For as far as we know, yeah. So,
Of course we know.
as far as I know, I'm not there.
Are you questioning his?
Absolutely not.
I don't know what he'd be questioning, but are you questioning? Okay.
No. I'm very thankful for the work of our ag extension, very much so, especially the sweet potatoes. Okay. And so
The mutant sweet potato.
all right, so this happens in the dystopian future.
The old dystopian of 2001. This was 75.
This is 1975, so it really wasn't that far away. But so this guy had been doing research, and he's got these pods. So confiscated by the brutally repressive regime of the world government, blah blah blah. So these pods open up and these men pop out, basically.
Okay.
All right. So the picture here, it kind of looks like blue tights with Guy-Fieri hair, almost just kind of a shock white hair.
Okay.
So he comes from his.
Is he going to
cocoon.
Flavortown?
Well, not exactly. No. So he pops out fully grown, can speak. He's got a human form, pointy white hair. The guy here says looks like a spokesman for soft serve ice cream. Yeah. So he's a man plant. It says he originated as an eggplant, but I think that's just kind of a side note because the guy that wrote this book has a lot of little comments to the side that aren't necessarily accurate. But anyway, so his powers basically is kind of Hulk-like. So when he gets mad, you don't want to make Morlock angry because he turns into this living tree and starts killing everybody. So the deal is, he says he loves peace. He's not happy with the government regime, but then when he gets angry, he starts killing people. So it's kind of backwards. So he's a super strong monster. He eats people. He's basically a man-eating tree when he's mad. Didn't make it but about 3 issues. In the 3rd issue, he meets the Midnight Men, led by Midnight Man, who shoots him and then blows himself up, and that's the end of the series. I mean, it's very very sad.
So it was 3. It was a 3-issue series.
3 issues,
and was 2 issues too long.
Yeah,
he didn't even make it to more like 2002.
No. So
I'm going to say regrettable.
Definitely,
I'm going to say just absolutely regrettable.
Yeah, the fact that I guess the fact that it made the book emphasizes the point of the book. Regrettable superheroes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean the artwork's not too bad, but
I know the names that you mentioned, Fleischer and Milgrom. I've heard those names before. And Atlas, I think, was one of those, third party kind of publishers that was trying to come in to do some stuff in the 70s.
Yeah, was it bought or sold to someone
Probably. I don't know. I don't know what other characters they
I know we've had other Atlas Comics characters throughout here. But yeah, this one was pretty rough.
They may not have had any redeemable characters to buy.
Could be.
Yeah.
So regrettable.
Yep.
Very regrettable.
How many more do we have?
Let's see. Actually,
less than 45s than we got here.
Yes, less. 1, 2,
Is the next segment going to be?
Hey, is that Rom?
Yeah, I remember
Rom
was
is not
in there.
regrettable at all. That's not going to be done. Rom was amazing.
We're not there
7.
yet.
So, and no Micronauts either, huh?
I didn't see any Micronauts.
Yeah, I think Micronauts are in there. I would. Yeah.
As we get further into the golden age, there's going to be more, I think, that we recognize, and more like, not necessarily regrettable, because there's some super boys or something in here later too. So.
Well, Rom's not golden age. Rom was 78, 79.
Bronze age. Yeah.
Bronze.
That's what you meant.
I meant
bronze.
bronze.
Uh-huh.
I meant bronze. Yeah.
So, anyway.
So there we are.
All right, we're going to go from the past in 45s to a galaxy far, far away. Up next. The show may be over, but it's never finished unless we talk about it. We're back. We're going to talk about Andor Season 2 on Disney Plus, which finished a few weeks back. We finally all here. We've all watched it. Jay, what did you think about Andor?
Oh, have y'all watched Season 2? Any surprises?
No, we dreamed about Season 2.
That's
In the dystopian past of 2024.
Jay's already seen Season 3.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
right.
we all have.
Yeah, we have, maybe.
Yeah.
Jay, what did you think about Andor?
It was excellent. I think they did a good job of making it was a good show with a good plot that happened to be in the Star Wars universe. And I'm not taking away from the fact that it connects Rogue One and all the things that we'll talk about. I mean, it has a very important place in that universe, but I think it would have been a really good show
Regardless.
You're saying it was Andorable?
No, you're saying that. I won't be responsible for that.
Oh, that was funny.
But yeah, I've moved on to grandfather jokes. I've passed the dad jokes.
Yeah, he is best at us.
Yeah.
He's best at us.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I really think it stood on its own as a show, and bonus, it's in the Star Wars universe, and it connects dots, and fills holes or whatever. So I guess there won't be a season 3.
No, Season 3 is Rogue One, and
Right.
Season 4 is Episode 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What'd you think, Art?
I really liked it a lot. I agree with a lot of what Jay said. I think it stood on its own. I saw comments, and we've talked a little bit about this in one of the rants, but I've seen comments that said, no, this is what Star Wars should be. And I'm thinking, well, Star Wars has already established what it should be, 50 years ago. So I appreciate that. But I think the idea that Star Wars can be other things is a good way to go. I think sometimes they're too much of a slave to trying to do things that, were just like what was done back in 77. I think that's one of the things that the prequels or the sequels suffered from, is trying to
Star Killer Base, anybody?
Yeah, that's right. Trying to be so, adhere so much to that trope, those tropes that were, done in the original sequel trilogy. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it made for a great political intrigue thriller.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the politics part was interesting because it was there and it was important, and it drove the story kind of, but it wasn't. I don't know. It was refreshing to be a political drama that didn't have anything to do with our own
politics.
political
Yeah,
drama.
yeah.
So years ago, I don't know if you guys remember, as the special editions were coming out, George Lucas had pitched I think it was a 70 or 80 episode Star Wars Underworld series that would have taken place on Coruscant. And they
Was it going to be live action?
It was going to be live action, and they had budgeted it out, and it was going to be like $4 to $5 million, if I remember correctly, per episode.
Yeah.
This was mid-90s, right? And so just cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
To me, Andor and spoilers, anybody, if you haven't figured it out by now, Andor it shows Coruscant as a day-to-day place, and you see the different factions, and ties it into the greater Star Wars saga. I think in one of our text groups I said Star Wars what's now known as Episode 4 was perfect for me as a 7-year-old. Andor is great Star Wars for me at my age because it is mature themes, and there's some morally nebulous things in it. I mean,
Whereas the original Star Wars movie was very much black and white, evil, good.
Yeah.
And this is like just grace.
So you got who played Luthen?
Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes.
I can never say that. So
I studied IMDb before we.
there you
went on
go.
the air.
The character Luthen is just absolutely fascinating to me.
He's incredible.
And his soliloquy, his monologue in season 1, when he talks about I know I'm burning for a future tomorrow I will never see. I have to take the ways of my enemy to defeat them. When he's talking to Lonnie, who's the undercover agent that he's got placed in the ISB, just some unbelievable dialogue. The drama's great, the acting's great, and the way they paced it. Mon Mothma originally was this character in white robes standing, in Star Wars. Now you've got the whole backstory of Mon Mothma of what she sacrificed for the rebellion. She sacrificed her husband, she sacrificed her kids, her life. The whole thing with Cassian Andor, you've got that whole arc from him being a child with his parents probably killed by the Empire and the mining on their home world till he's whisked away, and he ends up becoming a secret operative for the Empire. It's unbelievable. The whole backstory of Bix, who was his girlfriend, and then they become a couple again, and she is revealed to have had his child. It changed it to me. Andor changed the way I watched Rogue One, because I watched the whole thing in sequence again. And and then the whole relationship between Jyn Erso and Andor. Because
the first time we talked about this, when you see it for the first time, you're thinking Rogue One for the first time without this context. You're thinking, oh, they might get together, and then now you realize, okay, they're not going to get together. And there's really nothing that's implicit about them getting together, and you realize he's got this whole, lost love, doesn't know where she is, and so his whole, again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Rogue One yet, but the death at the end takes even more meaning.
Absolutely. And then the whole, bringing what's his face back to play Krennic, who played Krennic, Mendelsohn.
Yes, Ben Mendelsohn.
Ben Mendelsohn was just phenomenal.
Oh my gosh! The one of the things that's talked about is the point. I'm gesturing here, but the point on the head where he goes up to
Deidre.
Yeah, Deidre.
Yeah,
and I just saw her real name, but Deidre, and that was unscripted. He just did that.
Oh, wow.
And so, but it's such a way to demean that character, just like I'm putting my finger on you here, and you just don't mean anything. And she said it was just such I think the shot we saw was not the original shot, so she knew it was coming, but she was still very surprised by it and was able to tap into that again. And just, great. And that's, to me, one of the things that works so well about this is you had really, really good villains. You had folks that, for whatever reason, were on the side of the Empire, and they were just, they were three-dimensional. But they could still be very evil. Now, the thing I love about the original Star Wars is the two-dimensionality of it, is that the fact that we didn't have to know Darth Vader's backstory. Mm-hmm. He was not the main bad guy. Grand Moff Tarkin was the main bad guy, and he was his muscle. He was his henchman. That story works great, and we've talked about this in my rant. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, this makes the original Star Wars, especially the medal ceremony scene, look awful because these other folks didn't get their medals." Well, they didn't exist at that time. This is a different movie. If you don't realize this movie came out, 50 years ago.
What are they going to do? Take a handful of ashes and put a medal on it?
Yeah, and that's the way things work. You have a lot of people behind the scenes that aren't the ones that get the recognition a lot of times. But again, you don't have to justify it. You've got this great story in Andor that works very well and could work well on its own. But the fact that it gives you this great backstory is really good.
Now, we already kind of knew Krennic from. Did we know Deidre before?
No, never seen
New
Deidre.
character.
And I love her arc.
Yeah,
she comes off as just this stoic, bad girl, bad guy, bad girl,
bad girl.
But
what you gonna do?
Spoiler. At the end, she's just in tears and completely undone.
Yeah, her ending was so perfect
because the thing she placed the most faith and trust in ended up biting her.
Yeah,
and then the whole arc with her and Cyril.
Yeah.
Who this is all because Cyril wouldn't let something go. Cyril was so incensed that Andor casually killed 2 of his security guys, and the security company just like, we're not going to make any noise about this, just let it go, and he couldn't. That set this whole thing into motion. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. Then
at their last scene, and Andor, Cassian's, and Cyril's last scene, where he didn't really know him. Who are you? And that just snapped it. It was great.
So those 2 episodes, the one with the massacre, the Gorman massacre was absolutely incredible. And a little bit of backstory on that. That was an extended universe thing. So the Gorman massacre in the extended universe, Tarkin landed a ship in Gorman Square. The Gormanese or whoever, or the Gore, would not disperse, so he landed the transport on top of them and killed like 50 people. And so that happens and it doesn't happen in Andor, but it's referred to in Andor. In that plot,
it doesn't happen in Andor, but it's referred to in Rogue One.
No, it's referred to in Andor.
Oh, okay.
Tarkin.
Isn't that what the monument is for?
That's right.
Yes.
So
okay. Gotcha.
That took place, and that's what the monument for. In the middle of that
square.
That
with those folks that were killed,
By the way, that was a practical set they built.
Yes.
That whole circle was...
Well, and so much of it was shot on location.
Yeah.
And it really had... That's another thing, too, that I loved about it, is everything felt functional and real.
Yeah.
And even the Empire stuff that was, sterile and white and stuff, it still felt very functional and real. But all the ships and things that they had, especially the Rebellion had, just very real kind of machinery.
Yeah, absolutely. So they took things from the extended universe, canonized them, made them modern, and that whole thing with the Gore resistance, which was modeled on the French resistance for World War II.
And I actually thought they were speaking French at first, but they came with a French. They created a language that sounded French and had French actors playing the parts for the most part, but it was a completely new language.
So English is the Empire, French is the Rebellion.
Yeah. That was very cool. It was very, and like I said, and I think we've all talked about going back and watching it again, just to kind of, because there's a lot of things I know I missed. It's deliberately paced. There's plenty of action in it, but there's a lot, especially, across 2 seasons, there's a lot of episodes that are just like, you go, oh, what happened? There's not much happened in this, but a lot did happen.
Yeah. The origin story of K2 was great.
Which they did change that. They retconned that from what had been established canon in a comic book.
Yeah. And Gilroy's like, sorry, we're going to do it our own way.
That's right. And K2, Alan Tudyk is just
he was
perfect.
It's just absolutely amazing.
And that's another thing. We've talked about this before. Any of these shows are good when they will mix in some humor.
Yeah.
This didn't have a lot of things that had like possible humorous events that, that would lend itself to, but K2 was great. And Gilroy said something about K2 being kind of hard to actually work into the story, right? Because once he's on the screen, he's going to dominate the screen. So that's why he doesn't show up until the last 2 episodes, I think, right? Maybe the third one, he makes an appearance when he turns and you wonder why he's looking. But it's pretty cool.
There was talk of making an alien-esque type of episode with K2
like a horror movie, right?
Yeah. And so that didn't pan out, but
Gilroy has said he's done. He's spent a good chunk of his life doing Star Wars. Do you think they'll go back and try to? People keep talking about maybe do a story of the Bothans who, died getting the plans for the second Death Star.
Because everybody thinks the Bothans got the plans for the first Death Star.
You got so tired of hearing those comments.
Yeah.
Are these the Bothans? And then all the jokes like, it's Manny Bothans is the guy's name. But, do you think they'll go back and revisit this? I hope they don't. Unless it's just a perfect project. But I don't want to see, Bix and the child. And that was one thing Gilroy said. He did not want to name the child. He did not want us to do this. Oh, this is going to turn into be, what was
Isaac Poe, baby?
Yeah, Poe Dameron.
Yeah. Not going to turn out to be Poe Dameron.
What'd you guys think about the lack? Vader is never mentioned in Andor.
Right.
Palpatine is mentioned as I had a meeting with the Emperor.
Yeah.
Almost like it's very much a perfunctory political show. The Force is only mentioned twice. You had the Force healer on Yavin 4, and then there was the Ben Bratt who played Ball Organa. Yeah. Says, "May the Force be with us."
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did there 3, and those are the only mentions of the Force.
Right.
No Vader, no Skywalker.
And I think
Which was kind of cool.
I think that was smart. I think that was a good way to go because, if you remember, Star Wars starts out and the Jedi are just kind of a rumor, a myth. Maybe not. So the Force is not everywhere.
A dead religion.
Who would know about them? Bail Organa would know about him because he happens to be, hosting a daughter that, is Darth Vader's daughter.
Who he would trust.
Anakin Skywalker. I guess I'm not sure if he knows it's Darth Vader or not, but I can't remember if he does or not. But
that not having all that Force stuff throughout adds to just the reality.
Yes, because it wasn't as
being
widespread, and not knowing Darth
just a
Vader.
drama.
Like I said, he was essentially a henchman working for the Emperor and Grand Moff.
So timeline, he's still already around.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to get wrap my head around.
Yeah, because if you remember the last episode of Andor,
he goes on the mission that starts off in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Okay. He and K2 literally get in the spacecraft to go
the Rings of Covering.
Yeah.
Because I watched this morning. I watched like the last 5 minutes of the last Andor episode, and then just kind of skimmed through the first few minutes of Rogue One, so I could see what was what.
So it's. I mean, literally, they get in the spaceship and then they show up on Rogue One, and then
Rebels is happening, and Darth Vader's in Rebels.
Yeah.
So that's the same timeline, right?
Yeah. Because if you, I think it was season 4, episode 20 of Rebels.
18, maybe. It's an odd number.
Maybe it was 18, but it was season 4.
Yeah.
Where they pick up Mon Mothma when Andor gets Mothma out of the Senate, she ends up on the Rebels ship. Oh, what was it?
Ghost?
Yeah, the Ghost.
Yeah.
And that's where she gives the second half of her speech to the galaxy denouncing the Emperor. She had started it in the Senate. They killed the power. They get her out, and then she finishes it from the Ghost.
And like I said, the tie-ins we did see, the Senate, we'd seen from the prequels. To me, those give more weight to the prequels as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think they really do. And of course, she was phenomenal.
Genevieve O'Reilly.
She had a lot of Irish folks.
O'Reilly. Jedi parts. Ow!
Have y'all seen any of the interviews that had like Cyril and Deidre and?
I've seen Cyril and I've seen Deidre and Krennic.
Yeah,
they're hilarious.
They're hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, this woman, every role I've seen her play so far, she's great. But she's always playing. And she said her mother told her that need to smile, Deidre. You're gonna be stuck playing. You're gonna be stuck with that face so long. And she goes, well, who's laughing now, Mom? Because that's her look, right? But she is so funny, Krennic, because they're just hilarious together.
And who played Luthen's pseudo daughter? Lytha. That was her first role.
Yes, she was incredible. Now I wouldn't mind seeing more of that character in her play because she was so good. Everybody kept thinking she was going to be Princess Leia, and she did look like her, but I think the age wasn't right.
Yeah,
of course, I think it's better that she's not. Like I said, you don't have to tie anybody into this.
No, but she was just phenomenal.
Elizabeth Dulau.
Yeah,
she was incredible.
Just an incredibly well cast show across the board.
Now, who all has a Game of Thrones?
Oh gosh, there's so many. All the Maesters are like,
that's what I saw. The thing they showed like side by side pictures. I'm like, good grief, these folks are in everything.
Yeah, they were. So there's only a limited number of English bad guys, I guess.
That's right.
So,
but highly recommend. Definitely, it's one of the few that I think I would rewatch.
Yeah, and there's a couple of little, how they ended it with like. Just kind of a quiet moment with each of the main characters.
Yeah.
There's a few things I didn't follow. I wanted to see if y'all knew anything that I didn't, which is usually the case. Mon Mothma's husband is in the flying car with Skolden's wife.
Yes.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
What's that about?
Well,
So that was an arranged marriage. What's the name of the planet that she's from?
oh yeah, I can't remember.
Whatever. Namos. So that was an arrangement. They got married when
The kids were
Mon Mothma's-
arranged marriage.
Mon Mothma and her husband was
Yeah.
an arranged marriage.
Right.
Okay.
They got married when they were 15.
Okay.
And she became the youngest senator at 16.
Oh, wow.
Their marriage had always been for convenience, and she did not trust her husband
Yeah.
Okay.
at all.
And he was an Empire sympathist, as was the woman he was with at that shot. And,
Okay.
especially once she made her speech in the Senate, it's like, well, it was already over, but it was definitely over then.
But there was
So
a,
what about Skolden?
hold on. There was a very poignant scene towards the end of episode 11, maybe. No, it would have been episode 9, where the husband says to Mothma, said, I knew all this. You could have trusted me. I would not have betrayed you. And it was very, very sad. So that's part of what her marriage was, a marriage of convenience and power, but there was some sadness there. I mean, they had a daughter together.
Yeah.
So he's
I
left.
don't know that she could have trusted him, though, I'm just going to say. Just
Well,
running it out there. Maybe she could.
who knows?
Yeah.
Who
But so he certainly felt betrayed by her
Yeah.
after all that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So, but I asked the question though. What happened to her husband?
Who knows?
We don't know. Okay.
They're probably having a dalliance,
Okay.
shall we say?
So what about Tay? Where did I miss something? And where he?
Oh,
'cause
well,
he,
they just
like,
kind of
disappeared.
alluded to that. Yeah, you see him get
Tay.
in the car with Val's.
Yeah.
Vals-
So Vals goes off and kills him.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
okay.
Cinta does, I think, right? Because he's in the car with
Yeah.
Cinta.
Cinta kills him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like
Because-
Well, I knew that was kind of insinuated. But
it's like a
Because-
Godfather thing, when you go, oh, come take a ride with me. It's like he's not going to make it.
where's
back.
my usual driver? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because Luthen
But they didn't show it.
Right.
Yeah.
Luthen thought he was a loose end.
Yeah.
And so he got rid of it. And he tells Mothma, he basically says, we're about to kill him. And
Okay.
she just goes pale. This is at the wedding. And that's when she goes and does the rave dance
okay.
because she's like, what have I done?
Yeah.
This is one of my oldest friends. And because he is coming to us wanting, I need, and
Like
Luthen's
she's-
like, we're done with him.
I did not expect the death of Lonnie. I should have, I guess. But
Yeah.
talking about loose ends, Luthen,
Yeah.
killed him. That was brutal.
Man, I would love. I mean, the whole Luthen. I mean, Andor was as much about Luthen as it was
yeah.
Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So then, when Cassian is leaving his Swiss Family Robinson hut to go
Yeah.
to the
I
spaceship,
prefer
at the
Gilligan's
end-
Island.
Yeah, well, that works too. And he's like watering the plant. Watering the plant. Is there any significance to that beyond I'm not coming back? Bix would have wanted me to do this, that kind of thing.
I think it was Bix wanted me to do this. I mean, he didn't know he was about to die, but I mean, those were plants that she had left him.
Yeah.
And, hey,
It was just kind of
Yeah.
poignant, and I didn't know if there was something
Yeah.
else involved that I had.
The plants aren't going to make it either.
yeah.
I think that was about all the things. Yeah. And here's a question that I'm sure has been asked and explained, but since we're inventing the Death Star now, how do you hide a Death Star?
Well, so that was one of the articles I read. We forget how big a galaxy
That's what,
is.
yeah.
And basically it was at Genosa.
Yeah.
Is where they built it. And Genosa was formerly in Republic control, if you remember from Attack of the Clones, and was just, you couldn't go. It was like a military base.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like you said, and the other thing, too, that, we don't think about much is it has, light speed capability. So it could move as it needed to, if there was a chance of being discovered. Granted, as it's being built, obviously that's a problem. But yeah, it's just something that,
Took 20 years to,
I don't. Obviously, it just seems like this is a huge thing. How did they?
But
not
the other
know?
thing too is they're building more than one. We always say, how do they get to the second Death Star? Well, they're building more than one. I mean, they're not just sitting there going, let's just try this out and see.
the
what
first one
happens.
had Andor's panels on it. The second one had Deidre's panels on
Yeah, that's right. Hope Deidre can swim.
it. Boy, that Andy Serkis.
Yeah, he's great. For that little bit he's in.
Man,
a few episodes, 3 episodes maybe.
That One Way Out arc,
Yeah.
the prison arc, was just unbelievable. So,
And again, we don't see what happens to him, but we kind of feel like we know after, well, I can't swim.
yeah. Yeah, and
Sucks for you.
well, I can't swim either, so I sympathized.
You can't swim?
I cannot swim. No,
I think we've mentioned this before.
I sympathized with you. So,
We got to get you swimming.
No,
Yeah.
too late. That ship has sailed.
You're going to be on a prison in some other galaxy, and you're going to wish you were swimming. Of course, you run. That's what, we watch the zombie movies and go, we got to start running. Where do we run?
As long as I can run faster than Art or Jay,
Yeah,
I'm
that should
fine.
be no problem. That would be no problem.
So, all right. Any other thoughts before we close the book on Andor? And
Well, I don't know how many times people have made the jokes, Andor what, but,
Yeah.
my wife loved that joke. She makes it every time she talks about it.
But this is when you'd watch again, Art?
Oh, yeah.
I rewatched after season 2 had finished. I rewatched 1 and 2 into Rogue One, and absolutely, this is probably this and maybe Mandalorian season 1 and 2 are the only things I would revisit.
I think I agree. I think
and maybe Ahsoka.
I wouldn't watch Ahsoka, but I do the Mandalorians and this.
And I want to watch Rogue One now that I have the.
Yeah,
the
you need to watch it.
background.
Now, I will tell you, and I think they need to redo this for the 10th anniversary of Rogue One. They need to go back and fix the CGI Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, they're pretty.
They're worse than I remembered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's plastic surgery gone wrong.
Yeah.
They're worse. Yeah. So
And they could fix that now.
they absolutely could. You could fix it, Jay, with VO3 on Google. I mean, good grief. We need to have a conversation about that.
We should talk about that next time.
Yeah, maybe
We
so.
won't remember.
Yeah, we won't. So, all right, guys, that does it for our episode review of Andor. We'll see you next time around.